I'm still fighting this damn cold. So I will I'm gonna give it my all tonight, but I can't promise we're gonna go 3 hours. I mean, we'll see how long we can go. And yeah, and we'll get into it. So give me one sec. Hold on. Let me throw down my AC in the office here because I have got this my gaming computer is actually mining Firo, and this thing is putting off some damn heat. So oh yeah, look at this, man. Jeez. All right. Yeah. All right. So cool. Happy Tuesday, man. Happy Tuesday. I sound a whole lot better. I got a voice, so I'm doing all right so far. And yeah, you know, it's if you haven't looked at the economic calendar for this week, you're in for a treat because we have some massive volatility coming our way this week. For the most part, what I'm really got my eyes on tonight is going to be the Kiwi dollar. And we've got a lot of interest rates coming out this week. We've got Kiwi dollar doing it. We got the Bank of Canada doing it tomorrow during New York session. The Australian dollar's got its job reports tomorrow night during Asian. And then, of course, we have the euro giving out their monetary policy statement as well. So for me, that kind of equates to what my watch list is looking like this week. I've got some Kiwi, some Australian dollar pairs, some Canadian pairs, definitely got some euro pairs on there. And then, of course, everything US dollar, right? So remember that the diametrically opposed currency to the euro is that US dollar. So whatever happens to that euro is going to be diametrically opposed to the dollar. So nothing really has changed from my watch list because I've been just attacking US dollar crosses and some of the yen crosses the last 3-4 weeks. So nothing I'm, you know, on my watch list or my outlook is really going to be different from previous weeks, but it definitely gives me some focus and it gives me some points of interest that I'm really going to be trying to target and looking for, you know, so, but we do have tons of fundamental news coming out this week and just be mindful of it, especially if you're trading a prop firm like FTMO and you've got to be wary of opening and closing positions 2 minutes before or after that news event. You know, the last thing you want to do is violate one of the terms of agreements for it. So yep, with that, let's dive into the charts, man. How's everybody doing? Does anybody, if you've got, you know, you guys know how I like to do it. So if you guys have a chart that that you want me to take a look at, just drop it in the Zoom chat, or if you're on YouTube, just paste the last portion of it. So if you've got that chart, you know, just copy and paste the actual chart name and I'll just pull it up and we'll take a look at it. And if you hear me not saying anything, it's probably because I'm blowing my nose or drinking some tea. Alrighty, awesome. So let's dive into it. And ideally, what you can see is here's my watch list for the week. This is everything that I'm going to be focused on this week right over here. For the most part, everything is going to start with this one right here. So whatever the dollar index does this week, it's kind of going to give me a telltale sign of what's going to happen as far as everything across the board. I am very bullish on the dollar. I've been maintaining that bullishness for the last couple of weeks, actually probably a couple of months now. I did hedge into some buy positions on dollar crosses, which ended up just hitting reduced risk or break even. So I'm actually okay with it. I'm looking for the continuation move on most of these pairs, right? If we look over here on the dollar index, right? I mean, there's no secret about this. I mean, we are massively bullish, massively bullish. And honestly, I was looking for some kind of move out of this area of supply for us to kind of come back down into an area that I really wanted to look for a buy to take this up to. And unfortunately, we're not getting that. Just looking at current price action, as price attempted a distribution here and ultimately reaccumulated, I don't see a reason for us to come back down into this area. All right. What do you think about the DXY gap from March 23rd, 2020? What's the price point on that? March 23rd, 2020. the DXY gap. Man, I don't know. Where are you looking? March 23rd. So in here somewhere? In here? Yeah, if you're talking about in here, I'll be honest. I see no reason for the dollar to do anything but to take out this high. That's just my personal opinion. Yeah, I don't see a reason. You know, when we look at what this dollar is doing in this sense here, so if we just bounce up to a daily, yeah, I mean, I really want a dollar to come back down into this. This is kind of what my target has been the last couple of years, but there's no reason. I mean, when we look at this distribution is really looking like a reaccumulation at this point. So let me hide some of this drawing. So if you look at this as a distro, all right, and we came perfectly into that point. Okay, that's great, right? We saw that, and the only problem I'm having is we never made a new low. So this distribution here has done absolutely nothing, right? From a cause and effect standpoint. So at this point, when I look at this chart, I got to ask myself, who's in control, buyers or sellers? And I'll tell you what, there's a shift in momentum coming, and from the higher time frame, we are still doing this. So I have no reason to suspect that we're going to do anything here. I mean, if we do, great, I'll react to it, you know, but I'm pretty convinced that we are going to make this high here, especially reaccumulating here. You know, what I don't like to see is I don't like to see price reaccumulate very close to where I'm expecting some weakness coming in. And when we look at just probably like if we say just the last 6 weeks of price action on the dollar index, there's absolutely no weakness, right? This is all being orchestrated by demand. Buyers are totally in control of this market. And, you know, what I'd be looking at in this aspect here is I'd be looking at a buying potential on dollar index from, and this is kind of what I was hoping to get, right? I was kind of hoping the sells I was trying to catch in here, I was trying to take them so that I can buy from here or buy from here, right? Because this is my leg. And we're not getting any weakness. So if we're not getting any weakness, then I've got to take the continuation play. And that's kind of what we did today. You know, my main emphasis was, all right, so I attempted to sell, right? Ended up getting a break even. And once we confirmed reaccumulation, right? So we have our high, we have our creek. As soon as we confirmed reaccumulation here, pretty simple that this is our shakeout, and you could see price coming into at least 50% of it and then making a new high. So, you know, we were looking at shorting EU, we were looking at a bunch of that other stuff. And yeah, I mean, the gap is the gap. Who cares about a gap, right? I mean, the gap's going to get filled when we make that new high, correct? So yeah, I mean, as far as the gap goes, I mean, there's nothing I'm going to do differently about it. I'm pretty convinced that when this thing goes like this, that gap gets filled, right? So yeah, I'm pretty convinced we're going to do this. So anyway, dollar index, that's where I'm really looking at. I'm just continuing to look for this bullishness, and I'm going to play the continuation move. So everything dollar related, I'm going to play the continuation moves until it tells me not to. And, you know, if you've been looking at some of these pairs, you know, UJ comes to mind. If you've been playing the continuation move on UJ for the last 2.5 years, you haven't gotten bit, right? I mean, price hasn't broken order flow on UJ in almost 2 years. So, I mean, that's kind of my mindset on what I'm going to do with it, right? So if we look over here at Euro USD, and same thing. I mean, this is kind of what I was looking at this morning. And, you know, my main emphasis that I was trying to catch was I wanted to see if I can catch a sell this morning down into our low. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. I was really looking for a schematic up in this area. You could see it here, and we didn't get that. Instead, what we did do is we got price coming back into our shakeout of our would-be redistribution and price coming into that 50%. So as soon as I saw that this morning during New York session, it was pretty clear to me that we were just going to continue to the downside. So ideally what I was trying to do, right, is what I was trying to do was just play into something, and you could see it right here. This was my main focal point right in that. So as soon as we broke this low, what I wanted to do was try to catch something coming back into it, but price just never gave it. There was absolutely no mitigation whatsoever coming out of EU. So there was no trade for me to take. Even though that my bias point was that we were going to ultimately convert this into a redistribution, right? An accumulation that fails, taking out itself with a shakeout and making a new low is a redistribution, right? So the redistribution was confirmed. And what I'm looking forward now is exactly what you see on the screen. My 2 points that I'm going to be playing out of are this right here. Right? This right here specifically, we know that the 50%'s been mitigated. So it's all up to that right there. If we can get price into there, that's where I'm playing from. And the other option is going to be out of this morning's price action that gave us essentially the slingshot, right? My slingshot that now creates this low. So I'm pretty happy with looking for the shorts. Like I said, I've been holding shorts on EU since September. I'm going to continue to do that. Redistros don't take lows, only redistros don't take lows, only distributions do, right? Depends on what low you're talking about, right? I mean, like, so are you talking about like that low? Because that took a low, right? Does that make sense? I mean, it's got a redistro and a reaccumulation have to create a new low and a new high, depending on if you're on the distro or the accumulation side of it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no. Yep. So this is kind of what we're looking at. If you're talking about redistros don't hold structure, that's true. A redistribution will not hold structure. The distribution will. The redistro will hold order flow, if that makes sense. Alrighty, cool. So yeah, this is pretty much what I'm going to be waiting for. All right, I've got my alert set, and if we can kind of come into this portion right here, ideally, what I'd like to do is get into the distribution that is sitting right in here. If we can do that tonight, like London session, I'll be looking for an entry there, and if not, if we trade above it, obviously this is where I'm looking. All right. So on EU, definitely I'm still looking for shorts, and my target, right? I mean, what's my target on the EU side? My target on the EU side, like I said, I mean, I've been extremely bearish on EU. I'm targeting a new low, right? All my sells that I'm holding are coming in and gunning below this area here. There's really nothing that is going to get me to stop looking for those shorts and taking out that low. All right. So that's what you've got on EU. On GU, right? We'll take a look at GU real quick. On GU, we've got the same thing, right? I mean, price has just been massively bearish on this thing, and luckily enough, I'm still holding a bunch of shorts. Specifically, the big orders that I'm still holding are sitting right here and right here. I would like, obviously for price I was hoping to come back into some structure. It doesn't look like we're going to get that, right? Instead, what it does look like is prices, again, continuing with the continuation move via redistribution. So what I was looking for is, at this point, I'm looking to see if we can get price to come back into into Friday's price action, that news candle that came in right in here. This is where I'm going to be looking. I spoke to this, I think I talked about it this morning. This is really my main focal point for continuations on GU. It's going to be right out of here. So we have a distribution in the shakeout of our redistro. All right. This is what is maintaining that order flow. And this in particular is going to be the area that I'm going to be looking for. So, 80% lines up right in here. If we do, we don't necessarily need to come all the way up to that 80. We could come into the 50. I do have a limit order personally set out of the distribution that is sitting right here. So I don't know if you can see it on the 1 minute. That's kind of what it looks like on the 1 minute. But really all I've done is I've just measured out this move right here. And I've got a limit order out of that 50 and the 80. Okay. So that's kind of what I'm going to be playing on GU. There's really nothing more that I want to try to do. I don't want to sell it from anything down here. I'm definitely not looking to buy this. For me, I'd like for this accumulation here to kind of do something and get up to the area that I want to sell, but I really don't have high hopes that it's going to. So something I was mentioning this morning is there's really on these continuation plays, on these sells for GU and EU, and anything I'm trying to buy off of continuation plays, there's only two ways that I'm going to get into this market. It's if price gives me the pullback, I'll play, price into structure, or I got to play the continuation play. So what's that? Just wait for the redistribution, right? So if price doesn't come up here for me on GU, like how do I get into this market? Well, I mean, in a perfect sense, I'd like to see price come up here and do something like that. And then we have a redistribution. And if we have a redistribution, then I know that if we have a shakeout inside of that redistribution, meaning a lower time frame schematic, that's going to be my point of interest that I'm going to play out of. All righty. So that's going to be GU, right? GU, something I'm also looking at, again, something I'm holding quite a few orders. I think I've got a total of 6 GU sell orders going back into like August now, but obviously the August, September, and I think November orders, I'm holding low volume on. The ones that I'm really holding still are the ones from this year, January and February's positions that we caught way back up in here. These are the ones that I'm really kind of holding on to. And, there's no reason for me to close these out. Overall, I'm pretty convinced that we are going to take regardless, I'm looking to take price down to here to like 1.117, but I'm pretty convinced we're going to make a new low, especially if you kind of just zoom out and take a look at what we're doing. Price made a new low. So we know that this distribution was maintaining. And what do? We just came back and we distributed out of supply. So we're probably, I don't know, I would say we're at least a year away from getting down to here. So I'm going to just maintain what I have, keep managing the positions that I get into. And when we get down there, then I'll kind of figure out what's going to happen. But I know for a fact that it's going to be a while before we get down there. All right. So that's GU, right? That's GU. Now moving on, I'm just going to stick with dollar crosses first, and then we'll kind of dive into what's going on. And again, I've talked about correlating these before. Just give a look at the futures contracts on these, right? If you look at the pound futures, you're going to notice that price is essentially just doing the same thing, and you're getting a really good, clean understanding of what these crosses are doing. Everything lives and dies by what that dollar is doing, and it's actually kind of putting it into perspective that we're seeing dollar index just continuing to be in a really bullish sentiment. I mean, if you've listened to any of the fundamentals behind it, the Federal Reserve is extremely hawkish on the dollar. They are taking measures now to stave off inflation. I don't think the inflation part really has anything to do, and this is my personal opinion, I don't think inflation has anything to do with the dollar's strength. I think inflation across the world is what is really kind of what is kind of driving the dollar's strength, as it being the world's reserve currency, right? So moving on, let's take a look at AU, right? So on AU, I'm pretty much the same, right? I'm looking to short all of these dollar crosses. Now, I was really hoping that we can get up into this area up here. Unfortunately, yeah, it didn't happen, right? Instead, what we did do is we just came right into the open of it. And truthfully, we could still go higher. I just don't see a catalyst for it. I don't see a reason for us to do that. You can see what we've done from a market cycle perspective, accumulation into a reaccumulation into just a prolonged distribution. So could price just come in here, tap into demand to go higher? It can, absolutely. What is what is the scenario that's going to get me there? I definitely want to see price give me a distribution, right? And this is kind of what I want to see. This is something I drew this morning. And ideally what I want to see is, we've got demand sitting right here. I either want to see a redistribution and I'll play the redistribution, or I need us to come up to here and I want to play out of this distro, right? What you got, Cash Bro? You got AU? Let's see. On the 4 hour, you've got yep. Yeah. But let me ask you, have we taken out supply is the question, bro. So when we look here, have we taken out supply? Who's in control at this point right now? Are buyers or is it sellers? Yeah, I mean, it is sellers, right? I mean, I want to get into the sell. I'm not saying that getting into a buy is a bad idea, but where are you going to get on a buy from, right? I mean, if you're going to be buying AU, it's got to be from here or it's got to be from here, right? I mean, you're not looking to buy it from here. So when we get down into this area, that's where I'll look for potential hedges. But I mean, this chart right here, this taking out buyers here really just tells me that sellers are in control. And when we look at end use chart, I think you'll get a really good idea of that kind of confluence, but this is, for the most part, this is what I'm looking at for AU. You've got I'm sure you could see it on the 30-minute, you've got a super clean type 1 distribution up here. So that's what I want to play out of. If we don't get up into that area, then what I want to do is I want to play the redistro, right? If price gives me the redistro, I'm going to play the redistro. That involves us making a new low. So I've just got it boxed out. I've got an alert up here and I've got an alert down here. And whichever alert goes off, that's kind of going to base the scenario on how I'm going to play this. Right. Yeah. I mean, it just keep in mind this, right? It can supply orchestrate an accumulation schematic? Can sellers manipulate the market to bring it higher is the question. And the answer should be yes, right? So you have to ask yourself especially like when you're looking at AU here, you have to ask yourself, what was the reason behind this right here? Was it to fill buy orders to go higher? Or is it to fill buy orders to get up into that right there? I mean, and that's obviously it's all speculative, right? I mean, it's just my opinion on what I feel is going to happen. But I mean, when we zoom out and look at bigger picture, I mean, what do we see? We see that, overall price came in here and sellers got into control here. And what do? We came right into it and we rejected it, right? We sold off from there. And for the most part, I would say for the last probably like 12, 13 months, we've been massively bearish on this. And the only thing that really gives any credence to demand possibly coming into the market is simply that we've broken this high, right? But there's a little bit of divergence because when we look at NU, right? When you look at NU, it's a totally different story, right? NU's price action, super, super clean. Right? When we go back and look at this higher time frame, right? What do we see? When we look at this higher time frame, yeah, absolutely. We came into this move right here and we tapped perfectly into that 50%. right? But then what we didn't do was we never took out any supply, right? So when we never took out that supply, now you have to ask yourself, well, what are they trying to do, right? The fact that we came in to the distribution, right? And then from there, we've just started to see just nothing but supply and control, right? And what I mean by supply and control is this distro takes out demand here, makes a low. This distro makes a low. Then we come in and we redistribute, and this distro makes a low. The one thing we haven't seen since the start of 2021 is any buyers really doing anything with NU, right? So for me, I'm going to continue to look for that short. And, when we look at this chart, okay, so what did they do? Well, they came right into the 50% of our redistribution sitting right here. So could price theoretically sell off from here, even though I wanted them to come up into this more premium area? I mean, sure. I mean, I can say all day long that I want it to come higher, but if it doesn't come higher, it doesn't come higher, right? Actually, hold on, let me delete this. There we go. So, much like AU, what do I want to see, right? We know that this is the order flow leg right here, right? So ideally, I'd love for us to trade below this, but I'm still going to give this a go. If we trade higher and get into this area here, I'm going to look for that distribution for me to short this. And if we end up making a low right here, then we have a accumulation turned redistribution. And I'm going to look to continue the play off of that, right? When we look at what exactly happened today during New York session, I mean, there just wasn't a lot, right? I mean, we can see that price really is showing signs of a potential redistribution in the making. I wouldn't put it past it to come in, make another high, and then we drop. Ideally, that's what I'd like to see us come maybe into some more supply up here. But I'm ready. I've got that alert sitting right here. If we do make that new low, all right, great. I'm just going to sit back and I'll play the redistribution. All right. So the common theme, right, is we're just seeing that dollar is controlling all of these crosses. All right. Moving over to let's do UCAD, right? So moving over to UCAD, pretty much the same kind of concept. What we were dealing with, where we were in this leg right here, right? And we've just been in that leg since the start of the year, right? All of this is just a whole lot of noise. What I really wanted to see was what we were going to do when we came into this box. And unfortunately, we never came in low enough to where I really wanted to dive into. But what we did do is if you measure out, hold on, let's see, there we go. If you measure out our entire leg, right? And the entire leg for me is this to this. Well, we come into the 80% of it right here. All right. So that's one checkbox for me. All right. So we're in the 80% retracement of it. Makes sense. So now what does price do in here? So does price not give us an accumulation? Absolutely. Right. Price has given us an accumulation. Has that accumulation now created some sort of order flow that we can try to play out of? And absolutely. This is where now I started to play the continuation move. So we can see, I wanted to see two options, right? I wanted to see price. We have a reaccumulation that price came into. We have another reaccumulation that price comes right into the 80% of it. What I need to see now at this point is this is done, right? This move is done. What we need to either do is either make a new high, and then I will come back to mitigate out of here, or we just need to collapse and have this just be one higher time frame distribution. And that distribution needs to now come back and mitigate into our accumulation right here. So UCAD, I'm definitely looking for the buys. I'm not interested in trying to sell this from where it's at. The only thing that'll get me into a sell on UCAD is if we have a massive redistribution. So in the case of this, like, we would need to do something along the lines of that, make a new low, break this down here, and then I'd be looking for shorts out of here. But for right now, I mean, I don't see any evidence of that, right? I see dollar just really taking off with this and continuing to push this higher. And you can just see, I mean, play the order flow, right? In a bullish market, play the order flow until it tells you no. And as of, I would say probably the 7th of April, we haven't had a reason to really say no to the order flow. Just play that continuation, play the reaccumulation. And then you can bet that if I wake up tonight, I'm sorry, if I wake up in the morning and we're somewhere up here after making this high, I'm definitely going to be looking for price to come back, and I'm going to play out of here. Let's see. All right. So hold on. 25.52, 25.52. It's the SC of what? It would be the SC of what though? Talking about this right here? No, you're talking about higher. 25.52. You're talking about this? Yeah, but what is it the SC of? Has the accumulation done anything yet? But okay, so what is this though? Okay, sure, I agree with you. It is the SC of a boof. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Sure, it's the cause of this break, but what that really doesn't change how I'm going to trade this. Yeah, but it's still not going to change how I'm going to trade this, right? If I'm going to take the buy on this, right? I'm going to take the buy out of this because this is my spring, right? This is my spring. I could care less about that. If it plays off of that, great, let it play off of it. But I'm going to play out of my spring. And ideally, what I want to do is I just want to take this higher to make a new high so that this becomes now what maintains my structure point. Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you right now, if we break order flow in here, I mean, you can try to play out of that. I have no desire to play out of that. This for me is my probability right here. That's going to be where I'm going to be waiting for it. Yeah, but like I said, I would prefer, if we're going to do anything, I would prefer that we, hold on, there we go. I would prefer that we make this high. And now this becomes what is maintaining my structure point. Because now I could set a limit out of this, right? I could set a limit once this happens here. And I'll be happy to play the continuation plays, right? I'll be happy to play all these continuation plays to make this new high. Yeah, does that make sense? All right, cool. So that's UCAD, right? US dollar Swiss franc on the Swissy side. Listen, I don't even know where I'm holding. I know I'm holding positions from, let's take a look here. I know I'm holding positions from down here. I know I've got a bunch still from down here. I want to say I've got either some from here or some from, yeah, it's got to be from in here from March. Yeah. So these are the positions I'm holding here. And bigger picture, right? I mean, where am I trying to take this to? And you can just see when you look at this chart, again, ask yourself, who's in control, buyers or sellers? And there really should be no question about who's in control. Buyers are just showing signs of accumulation, new high, accumulation, new high, accumulation, new high, right? So what I'm going to be looking for is just the continuation play. All right. What I kind of was really looking forward, and you could see it here, we have from, there we go. So I was really hoping to get something down in here. Obviously we didn't see that. So what we did get was an accumulation. That accumulation went into a reaccumulation, and now we're sitting at a distribution. So what I was looking at this morning was whether or not we can get into the area that I wanted to play out of. I want to play out of the reaccumulation. I do not want to trade below here at this point because I want to continue with the market cycle. Unfortunately, we didn't come anywhere close to this. So one of two things needs to happen, right? We're either going to, and again, you can see I've got my alert sitting here. We can either come down tonight and I'll play something here. Or if we don't do that and we go higher, right? What we have is we have a distribution with a creek. Price jumps the creek, makes a new high. We now have a reaccumulation, right? So I'll play the reaccumulation. And depending on whatever that shakeout is, if it's going to be New York price action from today, I mean, you should see that as an accumulation, right? We can see that buyers came into the market, and this will be the area that I'll be looking for a buy, right? It looks like, honestly, it looks like there is a schematic sitting right here. And it looks like there's a reaccumulation sitting right here. So, X marks the spot if this in fact makes us a new high. If it confirms that reaccumulation, this is where I'm playing the continuation play from, right? Price comes back into this. This is where I'm going to pull the trigger and jump into the buys. All right. Other than that, though, I mean, there's really just going to be a wait and see. You can see the idea that I'm looking at. We either need to make a new high or just come back in here, come back into demand. Let me catch something out of this price action and go from there. And rounding out the last dollar cross, right, is going to be UJ. And I mean, I kicked myself. This is something I was looking at. What was it? Back in March, right? Yeah, back in March. Actually, no, it was even before March. Yeah, it was March. Yeah. So I was looking for those buys out of here. Right. And, I talked about just being bullish on UJ. It just really sucked. There was no, I was trying to catch the plays with a small stop loss. And unfortunately, I gave up on, what are we talking, 125, and it's at 114. I mean, I gave up on over 1,000 pips, because I was trying to be a little too stingy with my stop losses. And we're relatively still early in the year, but I mean, you can see this, from when I was trying to catch these buys all in here, this thing has moved now a total of, I mean, there she is. I mean, we've moved 1,300 pips. So I can wait all day long for these pullbacks, and it's just not going to happen. So what I need to do is I need to play the continuation move, right? So until we break any sort of order flow, I mean, right now, this is what I'm looking at. This has my focus. If we come back in there, right, this is the cause of this high. And of course, this reaccumulation right here is what's maintaining our order flow right here. So if I get a schematic in here, I'll play it. This is something I was looking at this morning. I would definitely pay attention to, your session times. One of the guys actually pointed out this morning that, this is your changeover candle. So throw your volume profile on it, and I guarantee you're going to see that there's no orders. So what I'm really looking for is price to come back into here. And that's why this is sitting right here. So if we come lower, which doesn't look like we're going to, and man, it sucks, but if we do end up making a new high, this right here is going to be probably what I'm going to be looking at. This was US dollar news that came out this morning. So, you have potentially a reaccumulation in the making sitting right here. And what I would be doing is probably taking a look at what happened in here, trying to find either the most voluminous candle or, I mean, realistically, at this point, the way price has been acting the last couple of months, there is really not a lot of precision that I'm looking at. I'm just trying to get into these moves because they're not coming back for anything. I mean, that's 20 pips off the 80%, which is just not something I'm going to be able to do. So what I potentially will have to do is just wait for price to come back into this area here and just see what I can find in the form of schematics, right? I mean, we're talking, yeah, I mean, Yeah, this is going to be this is probably going to be the area right in here where we're going to see price come into. So it's holding the bulk of your orders. So I mean, it is what it is. We'll see. But before I can do anything, she's got to come up and make a new high, right? So she would have to, yeah, she would have to come up there and confirm that reaccumulation for me. There we go. Alrighty. Does that make sense? My thoughts on EG. So yeah, I'll give a shout out to Thomas, man. He caught an awesome freaking sell on EG this morning. We'll move over to it. Can you explain the massive amount of orders when using the volume profiler? Usually on the top and bottom of the candles, is that, huh? All right. So wait a minute. Can you explain the massive amount of orders when using the volume profiler? Usually on the top, I'm guessing, or bottom of the candles. I mean, this is just contract sizes, man. So yeah, that's all it is just contract sizes. So what I use it for is to just make sure that we've got orders. Here's an example. Like if you go back to, where is it at? If you go over here, notice how there's absolutely no orders, right? We've got no orders. So this entire area here is a ghost. This doesn't actually happen. So that's how I use my volume profile. And then when you're looking, just keep in mind that this isn't true volume, right? This is just volume being reported by Owanda. So I'm not a volume trader, not in the sense of Forex, because I don't have access to the actual order book. So I can't make a very informed decision on how I'm going to trade it. Obviously, like when you're trading stocks, yeah, you have access to the actual volume, so you can see what's going on. But like ideally, what I'm looking for is, here's your bulk of your orders, right? Sitting right here and here. So they're going to have to come in somewhere in here to mitigate out. Can they come lower? Sure. But we know for sure that this is where they're going to come in. And, this is where I come up with my 50 and 80, of the mitigation points, right? And you just happen to see, well, is my 50 and my 80 stuck in between major of the orders? Yeah, absolutely. It's just coincidence on it. What do I think about BTC? Same thing I thought about it last week, the week before, and the week before. I mean, I'm still bullish on it. Yeah, still massively bullish. NASDAQ, we'll get to NASDAQ. Yeah, if you're looking for shorts on NASDAQ, you're in the right direction. Okay, so we talked about the dollar crosses. Let's jump over to EG. So how many people are looking for buys on EG? Anybody looking at those buys? I'm pretty convinced that we're going to redistribute. I'm pretty convinced that we're making this low here. And, ideally I was looking for shorts out of here. We came just shy of my alert where I was looking for the short, and I'm still holding massive shorts on this sucker. DX rise will not affect BTC. No, it won't. Yeah, it's the dollar isn't correlated to Bitcoin. The dollar is correlated to Euro USD. So shorts on NASDAQ and bullish on BTC, don't they correlate? No. NASDAQ and Bitcoin, no, they don't correlate. You can be bullish on NASDAQ and bullish on BTC, I'm pretty sure, right? I guarantee if you look at 2020 and 2021, NASDAQ was pretty bullish, and so was BTC. So, and right now NASDAQ is in a major pullback where we're going to see it continue to short. So BTC hasn't broken any kind of structure. So we're still massively bullish on BTC. Yeah. So anyway, on EG, yeah, this is what we were looking at, right? So we saw price give essentially a reaccumulation here. What I really wanted to do is I wanted to see if we can break this low here. But what we ended up taking a look at this morning was actually some pretty really clean price action. Don't know if anybody was up during that crossover time, but price came in, gave a really, really clean, and I know a couple of people that caught this, really clean distribution. And I mean, this is what it's at. If you want to take a look at it on the seconds time frame, I mean, it's pretty clean. The distribution comes in to, this is your UTAD, right? So you could see your schematic, that's your UTAD. And ideally you just measure out your UTAD. We come into the 50% mark of the UTAD, but we also confirm a micro schematic. And if you played it off that micro, right, you were able to catch it off the 50 there. That ended up being between those two orders. That was a, what was she at? That was a 3.8 and a 1.6 pip stop. So pretty clean price action on EG from there. And during New York session, it actually gave another entry during New York session. And you can kind of see, let's see, right here she is. So what does she do? You know, we ended up seeing the massive sell-off, and then she redistributed again, right? You could see clean accumulation. Price ends up coming back to mitigate it. And here's your creek, or I'm sorry, there's your ice. And ultimately what happens, we ended up this being a massive redistribution. So looking at it from the massive redistribution, what we did see, and some of the guys actually caught this morning, you could see the distro that's going on in here, right? This was a really clean play, and I think I got it marked out here. Hold on, let's see. Yeah, there she is. So if you would have just marked out your last point of supply, I don't know if you can see this, but there's a micro distro right there, probably on like the 5 second, 1 second. But if you just marked out your last point of supply and took it off the 50%, and there's your entry right there, right? That would have been your entry. This one would have been 2.7 pips. And then what I was looking at, you can see, well, what do? We accumulated to get up there. So I was just now waiting for us to break. And I had my sights set on a reentry out of this or coming back into the 80% of this move. Unfortunately, we came just shy of it. You know, we didn't get quite to where I wanted it to go, and then price just massively sold off. So unfortunately, these two entries never happened. And I mean, so the morning's entry gave a total of a 1 to 14. I'm still pretty confident that we're going to continue to the downside. And the entries from down here were at around like a 1 to 33 and a 1 to 14 as well. So pretty clean price action. Let's see. How did you partial out that order? Which one? This one here? Yeah, this one here. So I'm not actually in this one, but if I was in this one, how I would have partialed out was I would have paid myself the risk of the trade. Probably, let's get into it. Hold on. So right when we broke this low right here. So if I was in this position here, once we confirmed the redistribution, I would have paid myself my first partial. So in this case here, I most definitely probably would have paid myself just the risk. So whatever I risked on the trade, I would have taken the risk out of that there. And then my next position where I would be closing out volume would be, let's just see, where I would be closing out volume would be in the neighborhood of, yeah. So actually right where this came into. So this is where I'd be closing out some volume. So whether or not it was 25% of my remaining volume, something along those lines, that's where I'd paid myself my first partials out of that order right there. All right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. You got it. Okay. Yeah. So that's EG. And again, my main focus is going to be to take out this low, right? Oh, hold on. There we go. To take out this low. If we can take out this low, you know, then what I'll be looking for is maybe this is where I'll get those entries here that I have. And then if we don't, if we trade above it, then I'll be looking up here. But yeah, for the most part, I'm pretty confident that this is going to be a redistribution. And what really gives me that confidence is just, I guess, experience, right? Like if you just come back and take a look at how I've been looking at EG for the past, I don't know, year and a half, 2 years, it's just been a series of just buyers traps, buyers traps, buyers traps, and continuation of buyer traps. So, I mean, when you look at this chart, when you sit here and look at this chart, who's in control? 100% sellers. So sellers all day long. Similar price action on April 1st, clean sells from the redistribute. Yep. Yeah. I mean, I'm holding, where am I in from? I've got a bunch of sells on EG. I'm holding sells from, I think I've got sells. My earliest sell was from sometime in here. I don't know if I actually caught the top. I think it's somewhere in here that I'm in from, but I'm definitely holding from here. I'm definitely holding from here. I do have a position that is in here. So yeah, I don't foresee me closing out of those positions anytime soon. How do you get that MT5 calculator to partial out how much you risked automatically? So you have to go into the setting, and you would have to set up your take profits. So however many take profits you want to plan to have, let's just say that, I don't know. Let's just say that you're going to do 6, hold on. Say you're going to do 6 positions. So you got to do it. You got to make 6 take profits in your setting. And then what you'll have to do is you'll have to, pretty much tell the position size calculator the percentage that you want to take out. So if you want to take out, if you want these orders to be, let's just say the first order be 10%, right? And then the other 5, right? The other 5 would have to be split between the 90%, however you want to do it. So on your first TP, it'll close out 10% of your order, right? That's essentially how you would have to set it up automatically. I can tell you, me personally, I have 4 orders. I do 4 orders, 25% a piece. And all I do is just, because I'm already on the trade, I'm already in the, in my trading room, I'm already, watching the price action. So as soon as it gives me a reason to reduce risk and then pay myself the risk, I'm just going to manually do that. So I do it always out of my first order. And that first order is, essentially what I'm going to leave as my final order to take profits from. So I'll pay myself the risk out of that first order, and then my second TP will be set on my second order, which will close out 25% volume. But yeah, you can go in the setting on the position size calculator, and you can set up, if you want to have 25 TPs and, put, 1% volume on 20 of them, and leave the 5 remaining to be split up, across the remaining 80%, you can do that. It's however you want to set it up. All right. So EG, that's pretty much how I'm going to play it. Yeah, I know a couple of the guys grabbed it this morning. It was a really good play. Unfortunately, when I wanted to get in, she never came back and gave me the entry. So it is what it is. No big deal. Yeah. So that's EG. The other ones I was looking at, so ACAD and NCAD, another one. I don't think I'm ready to get into a position on them yet. What I'm purposely looking for here is I want to see what we actually do. And I want to see, are we going to break demand, right? Are we going to trade below this reaccumulation? It looks like, you can see price came into demand, and I was looking at this earlier. We actually came in, we reaccumulated, right? Price reaccumulated. And from there, what we kind of did is I'm waiting to see what we do when we come into this reaccumulation right here, right? I mean, pretty clean type 1 schematic that creates the new high. So I'm not really interested in trying to trade ACAD right now. This is something I'll just probably track, because when I look at this chart, especially on NCAD side, right? I mean, you could see ACAD sure, we're here with ACAD, but if we jump over to NCAD, NCAD's really telling a different story, right? NCAD, I really wanted to see if we can get into cells from here. This is where this is my last cell that I'm still holding on NCAD was in here. We did come into an area of supply. We did make a low. We came in, distributed properly out of previous supply, and we made another low. So, you know, ideally, NCAD's telling me sell, sell, sell. ACAD is telling me I don't know yet. So what I'm kind of doing is I'm just sitting here. I was looking to see if price would give me something up here. Unfortunately, it didn't, right? We made a new low. So this is done for me now. And what I'm really looking for is, am I going to get a play out of here? Right. So if price gives me something, in this neighborhood, all right, I'll look to see, one, if it's going to make sense for me to take this sell. And you can kind of see what's going on, right? We had price that gave a distribution into a redistribution, and New York price action here is really what I'm looking at, right? This right here is kind of what I want to see, if I can get, you know, something going out of a short out of this area. And if it does, great. You know, if it doesn't present a schematic, that's the only way I'm getting into this is through a schematic. So if it doesn't give me a schematic, then I'll just sit back and watch it and wait for ACAD and NCAD to kind of come back into, you know, into some kind of confluence within each other. All right. Cool. Yeah. And then lastly, the things I'm really kind of just continuing with are the yen crosses, right? I mean, listen, AJ has done, I don't even know. AJ has done from when I was looking for buys on AJ, we've gone 1,100 pips. Unfortunately, no entries for AJ on me, right? I haven't been able to work an entry in. Now, what I will look for is, man, I swear I thought I had some markings on this. Yeah. All right. Maybe it's on NJ. Yeah, I guess it was on NJ. Same thing with NJ. I'm still holding my buys on NJ. I have buys from in here that are sitting all over 1 to 100s. I'm also holding the NJ buy from in here, which I talked about like 2 weeks ago. So we don't really need to go through it, but yeah, there was some really good price action in here. Same thing, just playing the reaccumulation move. What I really wanted to see was if we can get a continuation play, maybe get a pullback in here. You can see I kind of boxed it out. Unfortunately, this thing came right to my stupid flipping alert and then took off. So at this point, the only way that I'm getting into this is, you know, we know that this was the distro, and we know that we had price accumulate orders here. So I need to play a continuation move. That's going to involve us making a new high. So we make a new high, right? We do something like this. There we go. We do something like this. All right. I know that this is my line in the sand. So I'll be waiting for a schematic here, and whatever creates or gives us that cause to go higher. So maybe we get something like this, a reaccumulation. All right. Then I know I'm playing out of our shakeout, and that's what I'll kind of wait for and look to see. But right now, I mean, NJ, I'm just going to be managing the orders that I'm holding on NJ and waiting for price to make a new high. You know, unfortunately, it's taken its sweet time. You can see, I mean, it's kind of been stuck just in this area here since the end of March, right? So we're talking, you know, going on 2 weeks that we've just been sideways. I still like the fact that we're seeing signs of buyers coming into this market and prices continuing to make lower highs, right? That's the only thing that's important to me. Bullish market, what's important? Lower highs. I don't care about new highs. I just care about those lower highs. So that's NJ and AJ, right? Talking about CADJ, pretty much the same thing. I'm looking for continuation plays, right? We've got, you know, ideally this is, let's go like a 10-minute. So ideally what I want to see is I want to see price come back in, right? We tapped into the 50%, nowhere close to where I wanted to buy it from. And we're just seeing the continuation move, right? Reaccumulation, price distributes, we come right back in, we accumulate, and we make a new high. So at this point, this is where my X marks the spot is for me, right? This is where I want to see price come back into this area of demand so I can take this higher. If it gives it to me, great. This is something I'll be looking for tomorrow morning during New York session. We're not that far off. I mean, I think, what are we, like 70 pips away? So we could definitely see price come in there, make its way down in here. And ideally what I want to see is I want to see us come into this right here. This move right here is what I want to see us mitigate out of. And that's kind of what I measured out. This is the 50%. So 98.50 is where I'm going to be starting to look for that. Again, that's about 77 pips away. So potentially tomorrow, and remember, we've got Canadian news tomorrow at 10 a.m. So we may get a reason for price to come into that. All right. So that's CAD-J. Chef JPY. You guys know my love for Chef JPY. So ideally, this is what I was looking at. And I mean, I know we are at probably the most premium of premium pricing. And if you guys have been following me, I've been saying that we were going to break above 134, right? That was my target, to get above 134. So I've taken some more partials on all the orders that I am holding. What I did want to see, I know a couple of guys grabbed this entry this morning. I honestly didn't have it set. I really didn't want to throw a limit order. What I wanted to do was just wait for a schematic in there. It just gave me nothing. So at this point, if we do continue higher, right, you can already see what I was kind of looking at. And I'm really hoping that wasn't the mitigation, because that was kind of what I wanted to see play out. Yeah, it looks like it. What time is this at? Yeah, maybe this changeover just didn't actually happen. Let's see. Yeah, no, that doesn't happen. We shall do the old, there we go. All right. There we go. All right. So I'm still going to be looking at this, but I want this to be the cause of the new high. So really nothing for me to do on Chef JPY until we start to see some major moves to the upside. I was happy with, I did get into these entries here, and I think it was last week, right? I think it was last week. I took a reaccumulation. Where is she at? As soon as TradingView populates it. Share a link to my mentorship. I don't really have a link, man, and I don't really like broadcast it. But if you're looking for some help, just DM me on Instagram or in Discord, and I'll give you some info, man. So yeah, this is the reaccumulation that I did play right here. And I would suggest give it a look. It's sitting at a 1 to 48 and a 1 to 119. Pretty clean price action. Entry came in right off that 80%. I had another entry right here that missed it by, I think, like a pip and a half. So I was a little banged up about it, but it is what it is. You can see prices moved, over 240 pips from it. And we were looking at it this morning, the entries, right? Those entries that we took out of the extreme back in September are now sitting, where's she at? Right here. This entry right here is sitting at I know it was over 1100. Let's see. Yeah, she's sitting, this entry right here off that 5-second accumulation that we took. It's sitting at a 1 to 1239. So I'm still holding a little over one standard lot left on it. So it's up some change. So I definitely, yeah. Do you trade the setup only in London, New York session? Do I trade the setup only in, so my entry, yeah. I don't trade during like Asian. I don't trade during Sydney. I honestly don't even trade during like Frankfurt or London Open. So I wake up like 5 a.m. Eastern. So maybe like 2-3 hours after London Open is when I'll wake up and kind of make my way over to a chart. Yeah. So anyway, Chef JPY, yeah, I'm pretty happy with the last couple of, actually probably the last 2-3 years of Chef JPY has really been really profitable. So Chef JPY was my top currency profit maker last year, and I'm sure it'll be again this year. Any tips for pulling the trigger and patience when doing these lower time frame entries? Sure. Let me ask you a question. When you go through, and I'm sure you've back tested a lot of these lower time frame entries, right? And I'm sure you've demo trade them as well. So when you back test and you demo trade them, are you putting them in a journal? Because if you're not, my suggestion is put them in a journal and take a look at everything that meets your qualifications or your validations for the entry. And if that journal, after say you take 100 trades, 100 demo trades or 100 back tests, and out of those 100 trades, if that journal tells you, who cares about your winning percentage, but if that journal tells you that you have an average R to R of anything over a 1 to 7, 1 to 8, and your equity curve off of that demo account does this, right? That's all the tip that you need, right? That's all the confidence that you need to get. If that journal is telling you that no, your equity curve is doing something like this and you're not finding consistency, then yeah, don't pull the trigger. Go back into that study room and figure out, okay, how can I invalidate the stupid trades? And how do I make sure that I, what's the defining moment to get me to understanding what the good trades that I need to be a part of. So that's probably the best tip I can give you. It's, there's 1,000, maybe even more than 1,000 different scenarios in which I look at that market and decide on whether or not I'm going to take the trade. I'm sure there's a bunch of people on here that when we're going through it and I'm talking it out loud in my head, I don't have like a written rule for every scenario. It's just, for me, it's not that it's common sense, but it has everything to do with experience, just how many times I've seen it happen. And then deducing what the most probable outcome is going to be based off of what we're seeing. So, but that would be the biggest suggestion for everybody is if you're having trouble pulling the trigger, go back and look at your journal and ask yourself, okay, so, out of, these 200 trades or these 50 trades that I've taken, this journal is telling me that who cares what my winning percentage is, because I can tell you, I know a lot of profitable traders that make really good money only winning 3 out of 10 trades. Right. And the most important thing is that P&L statement at the end of the month. So if the trades that you're getting into are providing you that consistency, then pull the trigger. Your journal is going to give you that answer. It's going to tell you everything you need to do. I was going to read the Wyckoff book by Ruben. So, okay, that's to help me understand what I need in a valid schematic. That's going to be a good starting point. I can tell you that book is probably not going to be the holy grail that a lot of people think it is. It's a great starting point. And I tell everybody to read that book first, because that book is going to give you a basic understanding of pretty much of what schematics are. But you're really going to have to dive in and define what your confirmations for a valid schematic are, right? Because the book is going to give you these, these pictures or these printouts of a schematic. And I can tell you that for me, that's not what I validate as a schematic. That's not, for me, when I'm on that chart, everything that's inside of that schematic has a purpose, and understanding each point in the phases of that schematic is the most important. Not going on the internet or going into that book, taking a copy of the accumulation type 1, right? And then putting it overlaid on your chart and saying, oh, look, that's a type 1 now. Because really you're no different at that point than a head and shoulders trader, somebody that's trading a retail pattern, because if you think about it, that's all schematics are, retail patterns. People always ask me, hey, what's like the 6th type of accumulation? Just go download the retail trading pattern, Every retail trading pattern is a schematic, right? A flag pattern, what is that? It's a reaccumulation. You know, what's a head and shoulders? It's a distribution. So just my biggest tip is learn what the schematic encompasses, like the nomenclature and the anatomy of a schematic. Understand what it is inside and out. And once you do that, you really have a basic understanding of price action in regards to supply and demand. And then you can go from there. Any intermediate book recommendations? I mean, I always talk big on Jesse Livermore's Wyckoff books. I'll tell you right now though, like I think a lot of people try to look for like a one-stop shop book for schematics. And I can honestly tell you that every trader that I've ever met or spoken with that has that is a profitable Wyckoff trader will tell you that I would say maybe like 75%, maybe even higher, but we'll just say 75% of their understanding and knowledge of Wyckoff theory and schematics themselves have all been derived from their personal relationship with the charts. And I can speak for me personally that, yeah, I mean, yeah, I've read a bunch of books on Wyckoff. I've seen so many slides. I've done so much in the like information gathering portion of understanding Wyckoff theory. And it's a great starting point. But, and again, I'm sure a lot of you guys can attest to it, that the real relationship between Wyckoff theory and your understanding of it comes from the time and effort that you put in just understanding it on the chart. And that's, you know, listen, I've been doing this now 4 years, almost 5 years. And it's, you know, obviously I still learn something every day. I still try to get into the charts and do, you know, my back test session in my lab. And, you know, it's a continuing education field. I don't think that once you get it, that's it, you know, you stop learning, because it's not. There's so much that evolves. There's so much that changes. Point in case, if you pull up on my YouTube channel and you go to maybe just go to January 2021 and look at some of those videos, and look at a video in the last 6 weeks. And I guarantee you that you're going to see some changes that I've had to implement, just whether it was something new that I've learned through back testing and journaling, that the data told me, hey, let me change this, or let me augment or refine this. And that's honestly why I don't delete any of those videos, because at least you can see the progression. And myself, I can see, you know, maybe 20 years from now, I'll look back at all these videos and just see the progression of my entire trading career. And hopefully, you know, it gives me that satisfaction. So yeah. Anyway, getting back to it. We talked about Chef JPY, right? And then the only other one that I was looking at, we talked about JPY, US dollar JPY, our altcoins pump stand on Wyckoff accumulation. All right. Are you asking, do altcoins pump off of an accumulation? So if that's what you're asking, just ask yourself this: what entity, or why do schematics form, right? Because that's the very nature of what you got to come back to. Why are schematics formed? Schematics are formed for one purpose and one purpose only. It's to fill orders. So I can tell you that on crypto coins, right, institutions do not trade crypto. So if institutions do not trade crypto, we know that their algorithms aren't being utilized to create a schematic. So when I invest in crypto, or when I look for cryptocurrencies to put some money into, yes, I'm looking for schematics, but I'm looking more on a wider base. Like I'm not trying to catch a pinpoint entry like I am on currencies or indices or metals. But you're definitely going to see schematics. I mean, just look at BTC. BTC is probably the epitome of what a schematic is. and that's why I'm still bullish on it, because we haven't taken out buyers. All right. Okay, we'll take a look at some indices and then we'll jump over to crypto. Obviously, like what I was looking at, listen, it's no, when did I post this? I posted, hold on, I think it was back in September. Hold on, where's my ideas? When did I do this? Here we go. May, wait, is that May? I thought I did in September. Here we go. Yeah, October 25th, 2021. That's when I posted my distribution on U30, right? And I mean, listen, it's doing it, right? I mean, let's go over to equities. We're seeing it. I mean, we're living where the hell is the distro? Come on. There we go. There's the distro. So, I mean, we're living it, right? I mean, we saw the break. We saw price come back in. And now we made a new low, and you can see, I don't know if it's kind of hard to see, but we've come right back into the 80% of this move, which is why I've been just looking for these shorts. And, I'm still holding a ton of shorts on U30, especially up in here. U30, SPX, and NASDAQ, I'm still holding the shorts. So this area in here gave some really good entries. If you haven't done it and you want a decent back test, I'll tell you right now, this price action here from the end of March really gave some really good clean entries for shorts. I'm still holding some of them. And, obviously what I was looking at was, you can kind of see this morning, unfortunately, it just never gave anything, let me go over to, let's see. There we go. So unfortunately, it just never gave me anything. I was a little bummed because we did come right back into 50% of our redistribution right at the open, but I never put an order in. It never really gave me anything to play. And I had said that if we had come back into this distribution, I was going to play it. But unfortunately, we didn't get it. And then you can kind of just see how I was looking to play this, redistribution, that redistribution ends up into another redistribution. So I was looking to play out of here. We never got it. Then I was looking to play out of here, and we just never got it. So unfortunately, U30 never gave me any entries today. I'm looking for continuations to the downside. Just look at where we're at, right? We've tagged in. So we've made this low. All right. We've tagged into the 50% of the entire move. And what I'd be looking for now is I would be looking to come back into today's New York price action. All right. That's going to be one of the key things I'll be looking at for tomorrow. And it follows suit with SPX, right? We can see this is a bummer. I'm still holding these sells from up here. These are in massive profits. Again, same thing, go to the end of March if you want to back test some really good price action. I did take an L right here. I took a stop loss that almost cost me a new computer. Not a new computer, a new monitor, right? You guys know I go through monitors like it's hotcakes, but I damn near punched my monitor when this happened because she ended up just selling off. I had an entry right here out of the 80% and just took me out and then just collapsed. It is what it is, nothing you can do about it. So what I was looking, again, same thing, we're just looking for these continuation plays. Price ends up, so we could see that this is the redistribution, right? We have essentially this is the cause of the redistribution. And when you measure out, when we look at, okay, so what exactly happened? Let's go 5 minute. Here we go. So when you look at the redistribution all day long, this should give you what you want to see. I had a limit order that I threw in out of this distro here. Unfortunately, we didn't come up to that high, right? All we did was we just mitigated 50% of this move. So once I saw that this morning's price action was right into that 50%, it was pretty clear how I was going to attack this. I wanted to see if I can get some kind of price action to give me a pullback so I can get into this. And you can see this is where I was looking at when we measured this entire move. This was 50%. when I measured this redistribution, that was 80, the 80 and 50 lined up. So I was like, shoot, I'll throw that limit order in. We come, I think it was like 4.5 points from my entry and then just collapse. So no position I was able to get into. But what we do see is we see that price, right? The accumulation, here's your creek, or I'm sorry, your ice. So now, I mean, this stuff up here is still game on, right? I will still look to see if tonight we can get up here, but there's no limit orders for me, right? At this point, what I'm going to be looking is, I'm going to be looking, do we play out of here or do we play out of here? So tomorrow morning, pre-market, I'll kind of give it a look, and then I'll just wait for market open to see where I'm going to kind of get in. How do you determine to enter at 50 or 80? Risk to reward. So, yeah, if 100% of the time, if price comes to the 80%, it's also past the 50%, right? So 50%, you have a higher probability of entry. But if that 50% just requires such a large stop loss, I just can't do it, right? If the risk to reward isn't worth it, I'm not going to take a trade for a 1 to 3, right? I'm not going to take a trade for a 1 to 4. So, if I've got to take it into the 80% where I can get like a 1 to 10, 1 to 12, okay, now it's worth it. If I don't get filled, I don't get filled. It's not worth the equity. It's not worth the margin requirement for me to get filled on these large orders. Can you share your time zone setup? What do you mean by my time zone setup? Like down here? Yeah, for sure. Yep. Listen, the best thing you can do is if you order from Amazon, is pay the extra $12 to $15 every time you order a monitor, and you get yourself the warranty package. And all that happens is when the monitor no longer works, you just call them up and you send the monitor back to them, and they credit your account with a gift card to buy a new one. So, yep, I do it. I've gone through various electronic devices that way. My indicator, the blue zone. Yeah, my blue zone is just it's 9:30 Eastern to 11:30 Eastern. That's it. So, yeah. So whatever session, you can use sessions on chart. I've got the one that I created, but I just can't share it because TradingView doesn't let me share it. So I just use in my Asian session range. I just, I threw in my times in here. So, yeah. Yep. You got it. I do have I'll tell you what, the today deals on Amazon. I got 2 monitors sitting in my garage right now, just in case. You never know when you gotta swap them out. So absolutely. So anyway, so SPX, this is where we're at. I'm definitely looking for the shorts. My entries, I know I posted like on Instagram the other day. Where am I targeting? Listen, all day long, I'm targeting right here. You could see I got the alert sitting right there. That's where I'm targeting with all of these these sells that I got in here, those right in there. I'm taking it all the way down. So I'm looking for like a 600 point move, or how some of these places like to over exaggerate the 6,000 pip move on SPX. So in a leg, if price comes, all right, wait a minute. In a leg, if price comes into the reaccumulation and gave an accumulation schematic, but the spring of that schematic broke the reaccumulation, will you still take a trade out of that schematic? So it depends, right? You got to ask yourself, like, here, hold on. So let's just say that we're in a bullish market, right? And you have an accumulation into a reaccumulation into a distribution, right? And that distribution now comes down right? And breaks below here. But in the course of breaking it, we get a, let's just say we get an accumulation, right? So did we break order flow, right? We broke order flow. Yes, we did. We broke order flow. Do I care if we broke order flow? Probably not, right? Because I think I got to change this. I think I got to make like order flow, like, I don't know, 960 or something like that. But the question is, so if price breaks this, is it no longer valid, right? What is this move intended to mitigate? Remember, this move is intended to mitigate whatever happened here, right? So if price does this, right, let's just say that we come in and I can measure this move and price, let's just say we come to the previous high, which is up here, right? So if price comes in and taps into like the 80% of this push down, I don't care about this, right? I'm going to play this. Absolutely, I'm going to play it. So it's all dependent upon this scenario, right? In theory, right? Yeah. I mean, if we break order flow, right? Then I have to default. I'm no longer going to play order flow. I had to default back to structure. So what's in this scenario here? What's my line in the sand? My line in the sand is here, you know? So if this schematic is giving me reason to take a buy, and it's just not the schematic, right? It's got to be more than just a schematic. I've got to have confluence in it, right? You know, who knows? Maybe it's not the 80%. What if it's the 50%, right? What if we come down here and it's the 50%? All right, that's still valid enough for me, because I'm going to take this trade. If this trade ends up stopping me out, stop loss hit, all right, whatever, that's 0.25%, boo-hoo, you know? And then I'll have a limit order probably out of here. So if price comes in, tags my limit order, all right, great. You can have the 0.25%. I'll take my, you know, whatever it is, 1 to 50, 1 to 60, whatever that is, to take out this high. So it's all based on the scenario, but on the mere fact, right, of breaking this doesn't disqualify this. All right. Just hopefully that makes sense. Yeah. Cool. All right. So that was SPX. And then lastly was NASDAQ, right? Same thing. NASDAQ, I mean, massively bearish. You know, I'm a little upset that, and you can see, I mean, like what was it? Beginning of April, there was a lot of work done up at this top end here. You know, unfortunately, there just wasn't a lot of orders being filled. You can kind of see my thought process. I was looking for entries. It just never gave. This one was a heartbreaker. This one just missed my entry. And, you know, unfortunately, I did get into this position. Actually, I think I am up here, right? Yeah, I am in from up here. I did get into this position here, and I got stopped out at break even when we came back in here. But for the most part, what I'm looking for is just that continuation play, right? I mean, we come in and let's go 5 minute. So we come in and where I was looking was right here. You know, I mean, this was all day long where I was looking. Unfortunately, we never got back up here. And now that we've made a new low, right? Now that we made a new low, all right, sounds good. I'll be a seller from here. You know, I'm going to continue to sell the order flow until we get popped, right? Until it tells me no. And you can kind of see what happened today, right? We had the distribution. I was really looking for price to come back in here. I had a limit order set out of this. Unfortunately, we just come to 50% and then we break off. So, okay. And then I was like, all right, so this is the next move. So here's your 50%, here's your 80%. So what do you think I did? I had an entry off this 50% with the stop loss right here. And that's where she came and then did me dirty. So unfortunately, I never got into any NASDAQ plays today. But I was tracking it. I was tracking it probably till about like 2 o'clock. And now what I'll be looking for is, now that we've made a new low, right? All right, so now I know where my line in the sand is for the order flow, right? My line in the sand is going to be this distro up here. So if we can come back up into this area, right? Tomorrow pre-market, I'll be looking at it. And then obviously when the market opens, I'm going to see if I can work another sell in. But ideally, this is going to be the very first area that I'm going to be looking is going to be in here. And I'm going to wait to see if we can get something. You were waiting here. Was it the same area I was, bro? Or hold on, let me see. Is that the same area or no? What is that? That is 14,260. 14. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's same. Yeah. Unfortunately, man, it just didn't give anything, man. You know, and this is, I mean, how many times have we looked at it where, you know, you really are just sitting there following these indices and they're only giving really like one or two really good entries a week now, you know, where before we were probably able to catch like, you know, shoot, 3-4 positions every week. You know, do I trade Mondays? I typically don't. I mean, if it's there and it meets the qualifications, sure. I mean, if it's a limit order that I've had in there for a very long time, so be it. But I don't actively get on and trade on a Monday. So, and it's just because my journal tells me it's a waste of my time. So I make sure that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm on the charts. That's when my journal tells me that I'm the most profitable. So, but that's really what I'm looking at. You know, I want to see and just kind of get an idea. You know, we know that this whole thing, right? We know that this whole thing is now a redistribution, right? So price is now redistributed. And, you know, where's like my kind of area that I'm going to be looking at? It's right there. You know, this is my sell area. So, and lo and behold, my 50% is right where that the last redistribution is kind of sitting at. So that's where I'll be looking. And that's kind of it. That's pretty much everything I'm looking at for the week. I'll jump over to some crypto stuff. But for the most part, I mean, yeah, it's a pretty easy calendar for me, pretty easy watch list. You know, it's just going to be being patient and waiting for price action to kind of give me either the continuation move, or we're going to pull back into the area where I'm really going to be trying to maximize my risk to reward. On the crypto side, I mean, yeah, listen, I mean, BTC is BTC. I mean, there ain't nothing much to say about what's going on with BTC. We're still bullish. If you guys remember, you know, I had said that I wanted to see it come close to that 32 mark right in here. We did. And what was it? I think 2 weeks ago, right? What was I looking at? You know, I said that one, we were looking damn bullish on this, right? We saw the accumulation, the reaccumulation that broke our first area of supply. Price came back in. And what I had talked about was, I don't remember when I posted it, but once we broke this high and we broke that 46K mark, what did I say? I wanted to see price come back right here, right? This is the box that I wanted us to come back in, and lo and behold, we're there now. So this is my line in the sand, right? At the point that we break below whatever this mark is, like 34.5 or something like that, at the point that we break below this, everything that we've done in the last couple of months is pretty much done. And, you know, we'll see at that point if we're going to go lower. But at this point right here, I mean, it's still 100% bullish market for me. You know, we are, you know, this right here, what did I measure? I measured, so this right here is the reaccumulation, right? So this is the 80% mark. And then what I was really looking at was, because price reaccumulated, came into a distro, accumulated, reaccumulated, and then you could just see the series of reaccumulations. So just maintaining the lowest form of order flow, I mean, we're right in here. So I like what we're doing here. You know, maybe we get this, right? Maybe we get that. So we'll see how it plays out. And then on the ETH side, right? On the ETH side, you know, Ethereum has a ways to go to the downside still. I mean, you know, we accumulated, you know, we finally broke here. So, I mean, this was a clear mitigation. And, you know, ideally I'd be looking for price to come in here or maybe into something down here on Ethereum. I just don't think we're going to get it. I mean, I think we're going to see Ethereum reaccumulate, make a new high, maybe break, maybe get back up into like the 3,800 mark, somewhere in there. Any idea about gold? Unless it's miraculously changed some kind of structure, I'm pretty sure it's still bullish. But I want nothing to do with it because it's nowhere close to where I want to buy it from. What are we at? Let's see. I honestly haven't looked at gold or silver in probably like 3 weeks. Let's see. Where are we at? Hold on. Let me just see if I got an actual markup. I thought I had a markup on it. Yeah, I mean, shoot, we'll just look at it like this. I don't know why this is. Let's see. There we go. I mean, we broke this high, right? We broke this high, so we're bullish from here. And if I'm a buyer, I'm buying it from down here, right? This is where I'm buying from. So until we get back down there, there's not much I'm doing with it. I honestly haven't looked at, let's see, what's it done on an intraday? Yeah, absolutely. I could tell you right now, there's absolutely nothing I want to do with this. Absolutely nothing. We either need to break a new high, or what was this, the 29th? Yeah, we either need to break a new high. There's just really nothing I want to do with it. Yeah, it's bullish. I could tell you that. I mean, I'd be bullish on it. Potentially. I mean, what did we come into? Did we come into? Yeah, I mean, we came into the 80% of it, but that's about it. So I would wait for me to do anything with it. I mean, maybe get a break above here, and then if we come back down, be looking at this right here. But there's nothing I want to do with this. Yeah, gold for me, way too much margin requirement right now, and it's nowhere near where I want to. I mean, look at this play. Can you imagine trying to take a play out of here to get stopped out only for this thing to make a new high? And really there was nothing really there. I mean, you had a reaccumulation, the distro broke, and then you broke. This is all just noise. It's all just order flow. So I'd rather wait for structure to be defined on it. What are my POI for reaccumulation and redistro? What do you mean? What do you mean? What's the POI for reaccumulation and redistro? XRP. Yeah, I mean, I'm bullish on XRP, but I'm not personally buying any more XRP. There's really no reason for me to buy any more XRP. And whatever the SEC is going to do with it, I mean, they got to hurry up and get it. But my average price is 23 cents. So I haven't bought any XRP at all. So I'm pretty convinced that we're coming lower. We're probably, let's see, where's my daily chart? We're probably going to come right here. Yeah, we're probably going to come back maybe right in here. Maybe somewhere in here. This is where I potentially see us coming back into. But yeah. Yeah, I'm personally not buying any more XRP. For me, things like, honestly, like things like Cardano and XRP, I think they've exhausted their usefulness, right? You've got so many other coins out there now that are really just driving the market. So that's what I'm really gearing up on. I mean, you guys have probably seen, my Flux videos and stuff. I am just massively bullish on Flux. So, Flux, I think, is going to be, I've said it before. I think I even threw out it on Twitter, man. I think Flux will overtake Ethereum in market cap in the next 5 years. So, you've got Flux, you've got Cadena, you've got things like Ergo. Those are, I think right now, I mean, for me, for investment side, Ergo, Flux, KDA, those are the big three that I'm really diving into. I'm mining the crap out of them right now just to make sure I have enough. And I'm personally not buying any of it. It's all mining or running nodes on it and making coins off of the nodes and the GPU mining and CPU mining that I'm doing with it. So, but yeah, that's really where I'm looking. Cadena is probably Cadena's at a really good price. I kind of started buying dollar cost averaging in on it. This is really at a good price for me, so I'm happy with it. And yeah, listen, Cadena at all-time highs back in November when everything was at its peak was almost at $30. So being around $5.50, $6, it was a well worth dollar cost average for me, and I'll continue to buy it on the drop. So if you haven't looked at it, definitely start looking at this project on Cadena. They've partnered with Flux. I'm actually trying to finagle a way that I can get a KDA Pro so I can start ASIC mining it, because this will be in my next project. I just gotta figure out the power issue on it. And that's pretty much it. That's everything I'm looking at. On the crypto side, yeah, there's a ton. There's a ton of projects that are there in the waiting, and I'm pretty happy with what I'm seeing so far on the crypto side. Again, everything is dependent on BTC, but I do without a doubt believe that we're going to make a new all-time high and break like 70K by the end of the year. So just off of what I'm seeing here, buyers are still massively in control of this market. But that's it. That's pretty much everything I've got. If you guys have nothing else, I'm going to, like I said, I didn't want to go too long today. I'm sure you can hear my voice. Yeah, I'm struggling. This cold has really got my butt, man. But yeah, awesome. Thank you for hopping on. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, drop, hit me up in the Discord. The link to the Aporia group is in my YouTube channel. You can just go to the links. So hit me up there, and yeah, hopefully everybody has a great trading week, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Thanks again. And yeah, have a great one.